Ladies and gentlemen, hello again, and welcome back to Don't Worry About the Government. For those of you watching on the video feed this time, there's a static shot of me because I can't get my video to work. Apparently, this is a thing that is beleaguering and besieging more podcasts. The great Zoom video freeze of 2022. Just when you thought our problems in society were over, now Zoom has reared its ugly head. And here to talk about this issue and maybe a couple others today is Robert. How you doing, Robert?
I'm good, thanks, Chris. Good to be back.
So Zoom. What can we say about this company over the last year and a half that has not already? That's not what the topic is today.
Well,
Uh,
it's been a slow news week.
yeah, it's been a slow news week. So what we're here to talk about on this episode, unfortunately, is Uvalde, Texas, and the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And I'm assuming most of you know about the kind of statistics of this 19 children, 2 adults killed in a school rampage. The 2 adults were teachers who were trying to defend the children. And um, where this story has taken a serious turn today is in, and I guess you know what I'll do since I'm not using my video. I will use my video. I'll use my video for the powers of good. Um, and we are going to take a look at this article from AP. So, frustrated onlookers urged police officers to charge into the Texas elementary school where a gunman's rampage killed 19 children and 2 teachers, a witness said on Wednesday. As investigators worked to track the massacre that lasted upwards of 40 minutes and ended when the 18-year-old shooter was killed by a border patrol team. So the cops didn't even get the job done. It ended up being, weirdly enough, border patrol. Like,
Yeah,
like,
and the first comment I saw under that was, the police department's budget is 40% of the city's budget.
that is insane. And I hope the citizens of this town go down to the city council meetings and demand the mass resignations of all of the officers that responded to this, because it is it's unacceptable for them to continue serving the community when they have failed the community in such a massive way. I'm going to continue reading this article because it's nauseating, and I guess maybe this will get into a broader theme of the show in the last half year. Go in there! Nearby women shouted at officers after the attack began, said Juan Carranza, 24, who saw the scene from outside his house across the street from Robb Elementary School. Carranza said the officers did not go in. Javier Cazares, whose fourth grade daughter, Jacqueline, was killed in the attack, said that he raced into the school when he heard about raced to the school when he heard about the shooting, arriving while the police were still massed outside the building. Upset that the police were not moving in, he raised the idea of charging into the school with several other bystanders. Let's just rush in because the cops aren't doing anything like they are supposed to, he said. More could have been done. They were unprepared. Minutes later, Carranza had to watch as Salvador Ramos crashed his truck into a ditch outside the school, grabbed his AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle and shot 2 people outside a nearby funeral home who ran away, or shot at 2 people who ran away uninjured. Officials say he encountered a school district security officer outside the school, though there are conflicting reports from authorities on whether the men exchanged gunfire. After running inside, he fired on 2 arriving police officers who were outside the building, said DPS, and the police officers were injured. Upon entering the school, he charged into one classroom and began to kill. Here's where the story starts to get murky. According to the police, he barricaded himself by locking the door and just started shooting children and teachers that were inside that classroom. It just shows you the complete evil of the shooter. Well, if that's completely true, Robert, if that's completely true, it sure would.
Yeah.
All those killed are in the same classroom. 40 minutes to an hour elapsed when Ramos opened fire on the school. The bottom line is that law enforcement was there, McGraw said. They did contain Ramos in the classroom. Isn't that an interesting way of framing it? let me see here. There were more of them, and there was just one of him, said Carranza. That is a very strong fucking point. Like, let's just stop there. So I'm gonna start breaking down the police response on this later. But like, here is basically the fundamental situation with police officers. When we give you the gun, we are saying that part of this public trust of us giving you the gun is that in a one-on-one situation, even if you're outgunned, we expect you to use that fucking gun. Like, even if it's an AR-15 against a pistol, we expect you to step forward as one of the official gun carriers of our society. The ones that we
marketing of the thin blue line, isn't it?
Right. I see that fucking flag all the time when I drive around here. Is that not what it's about?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Well, apparently the thin blue line is between them and elementary school children.
But yeah, the thin blue line runs down their back. It's called their backbone. And it washes away with a little bit of sweat. Yeah, no, I mean, this is pathetic. And all right, I want to get to. Is it the New York Post where we got more on this? Let me see here. What we know so far about. Let's get the police response here. School shooting. Police response. So the point of contention here is about the time, and also other actions involving the police officers. For example, it appears. I want to just make sure I've got the copy up here. I heard that the cops went in and got their kids out of the school first. Yeah. Is that?
They got their kids out and locked the shooter in with everyone else.
I want to make sure. I mean, like, that's a very, very strong allegation. So I want to make sure that's properly cited.
Yeah, I haven't cited it. I've just seen it in a couple reports and I'm glancing at the news.
Yeah, no, I know I've seen that making the rounds. I want to actually, before we talk about that, as
try to cite it.
Yeah, just try to cite it here.
Bad things are happening faster than we can verify them.
Ain't that the truth? Okay. So he was in the school for an hour. We know for a fact that the police sat outside of the school for an hour, which I mean, let's talk about that one real quick. This is like the ridiculous trend in all of these school shootings. It's given the way my internet's running, I may never be able to find out all these things in a timely manner. But like, I remember specifically with Columbine that there was a massive delay between when the gunmen killed themselves and before the cops even entered the building. The shooters, I believe, were dead for about an hour before the cops even entered the building. Yeah.
I was seeing school teachers saying that what they're training now for kids to do is the kids closest to the door should wave their hands and throw things to draw the fire of the shooter so the kids farther away can escape. That's where we're at.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The cops, or at one point, the cops were saying that they've got the guy barricaded in, basically saying that in an affirmative way. It's what is very funny is the darkly funny. I'm sorry. I'll make it very clear. It's not funny objectively. It is darkly in like Joseph Hellerian way.
We're entering a new phase of society where humor is suddenly different.
Yeah, it's this. It is. Yeah, it's like Heller basically. It's Catch-22 sort of funny, where they're like, well, we successfully barricaded him in. It's like in the same way that you would be like, we got a tiger barricaded in this room full of school children. Like, at least the
Success.
tiger's
You
in
did
no
it,
danger
guys.
of getting out. He'll be busy for a
I
while
am now
there.
safe because the tiger is in the elementary school.
Yeah.
You want to get some Starbucks ordered out here while we wait?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like that's actually in a dark way a perfectly fine analogy to this. Where like, how could you possibly view the tiger being locked in just one room with one group of school children as a triumph of police work?
The same society that got us here to where we have a shooting every third day.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is sort of like the police way. I mean, I guess the question is going to be now, how do the citizens of Uvalde choose to handle this? Because I think it will set a national standard. You know,
It
we
seems to have grabbed people's attention this time in a way that I haven't seen before.
sure, because I think honestly, the first step. I know we will talk about the national component of this, but really, the first step of this whole discourse is really about how do the people of Uvalde respond to their local police department after an objective policing failure this size and scale. And in my opinion, it necessitates the mass resignation of every member of the force who is involved in the response to this, up to and including the police chief.
You would think.
Yes, no, and no, but and it's in my opinion it has to, and I hate putting this at the feet of the people of a town or whatever, but I think it's important because I think it'll set a national standard and a national roadmap going forward of how.
It is going to lead the conversation. I think you're right.
Right, and I'm because like obviously I know like all of us politics addled people, we all wanted to like start nationally, but like in this case, I think like it really we do often talk about bottom up responses and what does
Yeah,
that
no, the lesson of the last 10 years in the failures of the Democratic Party is entirely that you have to go the Tea Party route and go ground up.
Yes, yeah, and like that. I also, I mean, broadly speaking, I think it's the failure to understand that like politics is bigger than the presidency, right? Like that.
Probably the least important person.
Yes, yeah, and like they may not the least important, but like the president is important in the ways that are almost opposite to the way people want to understand the president. The
Well, yeah,
president,
he responds to pressure. He doesn't actually lead.
yeah, he's the manager too. Like he gets to like make like random hires. Like people want the president to be like a mini king, and
Yeah.
really what the president is like the regional manager, and like the regional manager still has a lot of power, like especially with hiring and firing and staffing and that sort of thing. But like they can't, they can't
Yeah,
do.
they appoint really important people like the Secretary of State and the
Supreme Court justices.
yeah, these things are important as we've learned.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
as far as what actually reforms happen, it's like looking at the New Deal. That wasn't led from the top; it was pressure from the bottom.
right, right, and like yeah, you're totally right, and that is a lot of the like the more social programs and stuff started as like local chapters, like join your local chapter of well, Francis Townsend. He had those like Francis Townsend being like pretty problematic or whatever if memory serves, but like Dr. Francis Townsend had like his little societies. And there were a lot of these like local chapter sort of things. So I do think that there is an important local response um,
Well, and,
component of
and
this.
while I mean the stuff we're learning is horrific, we're learning it very quickly and before the local government can form their own narrative. And that's going to help to avoid like the pressure is going to matter more because this is all coming out while people are still outraged.
So I'm gonna throw another one out there that is cultural, and so like I don't want to sound squishy, but like I almost want to like tackle new things that I feel are less discussed. This is a big one to me though. There has been a mantra in police culture that I think is very, very toxic. And it's toxic because the logic has a certain seductiveness to it. And that mantra is get home safe. And get home safe, I think, has been very toxic to the job of the police officer. Now, granted, who among us, especially those of us with children, don't understand the impetus for a parent to want to get home safely to their child? No one wants to leave. Okay, not no one. But like people who don't suck don't want to leave their child parentless. I feel like that's a not controversial statement, and if it is,
Yeah.
you suck. No, like you should actually want to parent your child, unless you're complete like degenerate skis. It probably speaks to a character failing. Point being, if you are working under this logic, there are two things that are going to happen. One, you are more likely to shoot in situations that do not necessitate the need for shooting. And we've seen that all too often involving matters of Black lives.
Yeah.
But the flip of that I feel like is underappreciated, but is equally as pernicious, is the failure to act on behalf of the public.
Get
when
your ass in the
this
building
is-
and stop the kids
Yes.
from being killed.
Yes. And as hard it is for your children to hear this, your children need to understand this, Mr. Police Officer. You need to sit down with your kids and yeah, I'm telling the cops what to do here. Yeah, because they work for me, not the other way
Yeah.
around. The cop needs to sit down with his kids and go, hey, little Marcus, little Luis, whatever their names. I don't know. Like, guess what? Dad is a police officer, and Dad's job is to protect everyone the same way that he protects you. Dad loves you in a way that doesn't love everyone, but Dad's job is to protect everyone, and that means protect them with his life. Dad's got like there are average people out there who need Dad's protection, and that's what Dad signed up to do. That is Dad's job in life, and like basically, you need as a cop, you need to prepare your child for the potentiality that you hope will never come. That one day, nobly, in the line of duty, protecting the lives of someone, maybe a child, your own child's age, you might die in that act, and that is right, natural, and good, and part of the job, and is laudatory.
The fireman deserves respect every day because one day he may run into the burning building to pull someone out.
Yep, and the
When that day comes, you're expected to do it.
Yep, and among police culture, this protect and serve has been replaced with get home safe. And
well, yeah, protect and serve used to be on the side of all the police cars when I was a kid, and like we talk about the Supreme Court a lot recently, but they've said that they've, and I saw Greg Doucette on Twitter saying this, that there's been Supreme Court rulings that say that police are no longer required to give aid.
Yeah,
well, that's not great.
I mean, no, and I remember when they started taking protect and serve off the car about 20-something years ago. Because I'm getting, yeah, but I was a teenager. I remember, like, we were joking about it. It's like, we're not doing protect and serve anymore. But that was gone by the late '90s for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and if you want to back the blue, then obviously police culture needs to change in a lot of ways, and this is one of them that's very important.
All right, I guess Google is not doing me any good here. Have you found anything on Twitter to get us onto that one, the most controversial thing here, that the cops went in and rescued their own kids before barricading in? Like I want to get a citation on that before we just sort of
I'm seeing some stuff from the Associated Press, but not that specifically. Yeah, we could. I mean, that part is there, but there's so much happening so quickly, it's hard to find exact citations. We could leave that for next time.
Well, dude, I mean, you know how long it is? The listeners know how long it is before there's a next time. That does not work on this show anymore. If we're gonna talk about something, we're talking about it right now. We're never talking about it ever. This is gonna be
Okay,
the
we
one.
don't have citations yet,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, apparently they got their kids out and locked the shooter in with other kids and called for donuts while they waited for him to run out of ammunition, apparently.
they didn't actually call for donuts, right?
No,
Okay.
they may as well.
No, I just want to make sure, like, what is and is not. Again, this is a very strong claim. I think it's the correct one, but I just want to make sure that, like,
All signs point to it, right?
yes. Okay. Because I can't get my internet nor my phone to run while I'm doing this friggin' Zoom call. So, if you could try to find it, that'd be really dope. And yeah, let's try to just move on here. So basically, like, assuming this, it only further requires the response of the Uvalde citizens to demand the resignation of these people. But again, I think that the dereliction is actually manifest, even if this is not true, because of the outnumbering of the gunman, the child with the gun, they just barely not a child with a gun, like they absolutely were derelict in their duty. So I guess let's pivot to the national component of this now.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm seeing it, but not from like citable things. I'm just seeing like comments and reposts that don't have articles. So go on.
yeah, right. Dude, that's the problem with Twitter, man. And like, look, I we've now got the idea out there, and I feel like I've caveated it enough, and I just
Yeah.
can't stress enough, especially with matters like this. Make sure you know where you're getting your information from, because that's a really big claim. You want to make sure you're one hundo on that.
Yeah,
But this does not look like a strong case for
doesn't look good.
does not look good for them. And I mean, I think the facts are fairly clear. There should be resignations, and I guess really the only thing that would do is only further color how strong that case is. Now, on a national level, we are once again back to the same old national debate here about what to do. Oh, I guess I will say what's changed since last time is I noticed the Republicans are no longer even interested in mental health as a talking point. We're like already just at there should be one door. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of in a morbid way. I guess the same sort of whatever this word for this new type of humor is. Um, I'm morbidly amused by the idea that like we've devolved to one door. If there was only one door, then there would only be one door. Like
They know that whatever laws get passed, or the Democrats are going to pass something like an assault weapons ban, which will do nothing about this. It will do nothing about the millions of guns out there. You can't unopen Pandora's box, no matter what your opinion on it is. And they know that whatever laws the Democrats pass, which won't be targeted at ending this, will just get swatted down at the court. So what, they don't care.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, there's no connection between the AR-15 and all of these shootings, with the exception of Virginia Tech, which was a Glock.
Yeah.
Almost all these mass killings are done with nearly the same gun. It is quite stunning on that front. But dude,
It's the most convenient thing out there. It's the small block
that's
Chevy of
also, I
guns.
think, part of it too. And I also think that if you had an assault weapons ban, it would still be years before you'd really feel. I think it would eventually be effectual, but it would be years before you'd see the AR-15 as no longer the dominant weapon. It would take
Yeah.
some.
Well,
There'd
this
be a
is this is
recoil.
what is so frustrating for me right now is to watch the Democrats on what's happened with abortion recently, going banning abortion won't stop abortions, and then go, we need a weapons ban.
Well, I mean,
And what we need
that's
is
a
to
fine
de-radicalize
point. That's a
society.
fine point. My other thought on this too is it in both cases it's sort of missing that the pivotal hinge here is the Supreme Court, and that you can pass anything you damn well like, but the Supreme Court's never going to let stand.
Yep.
I'm even like I I have love for a certain somebody who wants dearly for the Democratic Party to go and have strong votes in Congress on any of these issues. And of course, I want the party to fight harder, but I really think even that sort of misses the grander point here of just how fucked the Supreme Court is at this point. That like they could go in there, Sanders and Warren could like rally all the troops and like hit Manchin and Sinema with a fucking stick and get it passed, and it wouldn't matter.
It down and they'd take it up in a week.
Right. And like, does part of me want this? Of course. Of
It
course.
Would
like
never even go into effect.
They're nerds. But like, I mean, I think yes, to we I think are both sort of seeing it the same way here, which is that like I want this rage and I want the hit them with the stick stuff, but who's the them here in this case to me has to be the Supreme Court. And like all roads lead back to that fucking court.
They do.
Yeah.
But to talk about really quickly, I just want to touch on
Sure.
like if you want to end the violence we're seeing in America, you have to de-radicalize the population. And we know how to do that. The wealth gap, class mobility, education, like opportunity, ending medical bankruptcy, like we know what to do. It's just that neither party wants to actually do it.
Yeah, I mean that's part. I mean, like that's part of it too. You have greater the greater the wealth gap, particularly in this with the recession coming out of COVID. Like there are a lot of economic hardship factors that are raising gun violence right now acutely. But like,
and it's been on an upswing for 40 years, right along with wealth inequality and all of the things that we've been talking about for years and years.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there too, and this may not like thrill everyone, but greater urban concentration has not been good for gun violence. Like,
No.
I do not mean that in the way that like right-wing talk show hosts talk about Chicago and whatever. I'm saying that like you're just frankly less likely to get into gun violence like the way we're seeing if you don't live in the city. Like,
yeah, and the other thing here, talking about the court, that I really want to hit on really quickly is, we've got an abortion fight on our hands for the women's right to their bodies and the right to privacy, and to the right to privacy is inferred by the First and Fourth Amendment, if I recall, and
the right to privacy is the Fourth Amendment. Protection of persons, papers,
also,
property.
Isn't there like the right to free speech depends on a right to privacy, to organize and things like that, and free association? Like it's inferred and not enumerated.
Oh, yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah. So I guess it's both enumerated and inferred, I guess, is what you're saying.
But my larger point here is that Democrats are hobbling themselves with this talking point that what we need to do is pass gun control when gun ownership is enumerated in the Constitution and abortion is not.
Yeah, that's the other big. Yeah, no, I mean the other pissing up a rope component of this is that, again, going back to that Supreme Court, there is no way in hell they are going to let you go after the Second Amendment the way that like a anti-gun liberal would dream about. And frankly, even if the court was more constituted of people like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of liberals of that vintage, I think that a lot of anti-gun liberals would be very surprised with the lack of motion that they're actually able to get because it's enshrined in the fucking Constitution. I'm not saying it makes it morally good.
Passing a constitutional amendment on it.
Right.
I will hold my breath.
Yes, it is enshrined makes it sound good. I'm going to just say protected, defended by the Constitution. That bulwark is very, very strong.
If you really wanted to do something about these shootings, the common denominator is abuse of women.
That is also true.
Pass a law that if you're convicted of a DV, you lose the right to gun ownership.
Dude, That one to me is that one's so open and shut with the link to gun violence too. And like I mean, this to me honestly is a really great example of the problems with a super expansive version of Second Amendment interpretation. Because there are obvious people who are not good candidates for gun ownership, and our society honestly is safe enough. It's not perfect, but safe enough where you don't actually need to have a gun everywhere. You can live in a situation where you're safe from gun violence, you know, if that's really your thing. And by the way, like if you got a DV charge, like that's like your cross to bear, bro. Like you know what I mean? Like I guess the penalty for being a derelict.
Well, and the precedent for it already exists, because if you're a felon, you can't have a gun.
Yeah. So
Like that would
I
be
mean
a much easier sell at the Supreme Court. And then the Republicans could say, listen, we addressed it without without infringing on, upstanding citizens' rights.
Yeah.
But the other party wants to solve this problem because then they can't campaign on it.
No. All right. So here, let's go for the mid-show break. On the other side here, we'll pick up a little bit more on the national.